YouTube, how's it going? Frogs Angels is back with some more NFL team-by-team record predictions. I'm going through every team, game by game, and giving you my predictions. We did the AFC East, we did the NFC East. We're on to the AFC North here, and then we'll go to the NFC North once we get through these teams and so on. Cincinnati Bengals is the team we're covering today. Using this website, playoffpredictors.com. Link is in the description of the video. It's a great, useful website. So if you want to make your own predictions, go ahead and click that link. Great website. Yeah, like I said, we're going through all the teams, and then we'll be set with playoffs, and then I'll predict the playoffs, predict the Super Bowl, keep going on. Got plenty of videos planned here before the season starts, some fantasy videos and more prediction videos. And then we got weekly pick'ems during the year. So can't wait for all that. Can't wait for the season to start. But the Bengals are the team we're talking about today. You know, a little bit before looking at who they play and their opponents, I haven't broke down their schedule yet, kind of doing this with you guys here live. But just something I thought of like recently, something that's in my head. I think the Bengals could be a sleeper team, you know. They're not going to contend for – they're not going to be a contender, obviously. But, you know, when you see power rankings or people are sleeping on the Bengals, I think. Even when I made power rankings kind of a while ago, I think everyone just wants to put them at the bottom. I think they can be better than that, honestly. So we'll see how the record turns out here after going game by game. But what I like about the Bengals, you know, Andy Dalton, he's a solid quarterback. I know he's been getting some hate here and there, but I mean, he's not gonna cost you a bunch of games. He can be a game manager. You know, he's not gonna go out and just win a game like on his own. But you know, you could have worse. You can have a lot worse is my point here. But looking at receiver, I think this receiving core is actually pretty solid. A.J. Green, obviously one of the top receivers in football. And then you got a couple of young guys that I think are really going to step up. You look at Tyler Boyd from Pittsburgh. When he was a freshman at Pittsburgh, I really liked him. I thought he was going to be like the next best receiver. You know, he kind of declined as his years at Pittsburgh went on. So that kind of, I didn't think that highly of him, but I think he's capable, and I think he's a very good receiver. As he's been in the league longer now, maybe he's ready to step up, and I mean, he has been playing pretty solid. John Ross, I like John Ross a lot this year. He's going to break out for sure. He's the fastest man in football. You know, people will say Tyreek Hill. I'm going John Ross, and I think he'll have a breakout season. You can use him in any way. You know, usually the problem with those types of receivers are running routes. I think he can run routes. I think he'll get open. I think he'll have a heck of a year. I think they'll use him a lot this year. And Josh Malone, rookie last year from Tennessee, I liked him a lot too, so he can be used a lot more. I really like this receiving unit. Pretty solid. Offensive line was a question last year. You know, it still could be a question this year. I think it's going to be better, though. I think you can say it should be better. You know, that's not saying a whole lot, but it should be better, and that helps the team, obviously. Billy Price, I heard he's been struggling a little bit in camp. Still, it's what they needed. It's a good pickup. Hopefully he figures it out. And then you got a good group of running backs. Joe Mixon, rookie last year. More time in the NFL, it just means he gets better. He can catch the ball in the backfield at a high level. He's going to be used more, and he's going to be better. That's just another area where you expect them to be better. Then you look at the defense. This defense is pretty solid. They've been drafting very well. Obviously, Dunlap is their better DM, but you got Jordan Willis, and then you draft Sam Hubbard from Ohio State that can play. You know, we talk about defensive line and pass rush being one of the most important things in football, but if you want to get specific, I think the rotation on the D-line is so important, and they got it here. They got it with Dunlap, Sam Hubbard, Jordan Willis. There's more than that too, but those are the main guys I want to talk about. And then Carl Lawson, who can play that DN spot, but he's more of an outside linebacker these days. He's going to get better. He played at a high level last year. They draft Malik Jefferson, who I think is a pro-ready linebacker from Texas. They draft Jesse Bates. I made a list of my favorite guys in the draft, guys with the biggest upside. Jesse Bates is one of them from Wake Forest. He's a playmaker. He's going to get interceptions. He's going to change the game for you. And then William Jackson, last year was basically his rookie year, even though technically it wasn't because he got hurt the year before. Had a hell of a rookie season. He's going to step up more. And they got a pretty good – they got Kirkpatrick. They got Darnold, but maybe not the best corners, but depth, and more depth all over that defense. So – you know, I'm liking this Bengals team more and more. Not a Bengals fan. I think you guys know that. But I just looking at this team recently, they're not going to contend, like I said. But this team, you know, they got potential. Let's enough talking about the team. Let's just go game by game. Let's see what I come away with. I've been kind of surprised what I came away with some teams. I thought maybe they weren't as good as what the record ended up being, or maybe I thought they were better than what the record ended up being. A lot of tough opponents this year. We'll see. Bengals at Colts, week 1. Well, you expect Andrew Luck to play in that's what makes this tough. He's going to play in week 1. But how good is that Colts team? I think that defense is in a bit of a rebuild. Man, this is tough. Week 1, very unpredictable too. I think the Colts will struggle this year. I'm going to go with the Bengals. Andrew Luck's heck of a quarterback. He has T.Y. Hilton as well. More than that, but there's some areas where it's just a learning experience, I think, for the Colts. Ravens at Bengals, Thursday night game. I did the Ravens video last, so if you haven't seen that, check it out. I did pick the Bengals at home on Thursday night in this one. The Bengals are going to go play in Carolina then in week 3. Good game here. I don't know. I talk about the Panthers. I'm a little worried about their offensive line. You could be worried about the Bengals offensive line a bit too. Since Carolina's home here, I think you got to go Carolina. You have to go Carolina. Ignore week 18. Trying to predict playoffs. Nothing's set yet. Cincinnati and Atlanta. I think Atlanta will be better than last year, and they were pretty darn good last year. I think it'll be, I'm not saying they're going to the Super Bowl, but I think they'll have more of a, it depends on their schedule. We haven't got to them yet, but I think they'll have more of a year than closer to their Super Bowl year than last year, which last year they were very close to beating the Eagles. Could have went there. I'll take them at home. I think they're a much better team, and they're at home. Miami at Cincinnati. Now, this is where I'm going to upset some people because I did the Miami video already. I picked Miami. I'm actually going to change it. I did that video last week. Change of thought here. So I apologize if people aren't happy about that, but I think I'm allowed to change my mind here. I think I'm allowed to do that. So I'll take Cincinnati. Just recently, I think Cincinnati's a sleeper team. The Dolphins could struggle depending on if they stay healthy. I do like their depth. Talking about the Bengals' depth on defense, I love the Dolphins' depth on defense. I think Cincinnati being home. If it was Miami was home, maybe I'd keep the Miami pick. But I'm going to go Bengals here. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Like I said, I like the defense. I think that's what could win them games. I think they can put up some points too, but I don't know if they're ready for that Steelers offense. I think it's a bad matchup. I'll take the Steelers. Bengals at Chiefs. I'm gonna shock some people here. I'm gonna go Bengals. The Chiefs, we don't know what we're gonna get yet. Obviously, they got one of the better running backs we think in Kareem Hunt. Patrick Mahomes, we expect him to be good. Is he going to be good right away? Is he going to be good this year? There's going to be struggles at times, whether you want to hear that or not. I like Mahomes. I like him for the future. He's my number 2 quarterback in that draft class behind Watson. But that defense, I think, will be worse. I think the Bengals could put up points on that defense, and I think they can stop them enough. They're not going to just shut them out, but I think the matchup favors the Bengals, but in Kansas City, it makes it a little tough. Buccaneers in Cincinnati. The Buccaneers have some good talent here and there, but it's a little messy situation. I think they'll struggle this year. I do like Ronald Jones, definitely a sleeper, but I'll take the Bengals here at home. Then you got a bye week. Then they're playing the Saints. I think looking at the matchup, I think the Saints got too much offense for them. I'll take the Saints, but it is in Cincinnati. It's similar to the Steelers matchup. Both games in Cincinnati. I mean, they play the Steelers away as well, but both games being in Cincinnati, I think they can win. Honestly, they can win one or both of those games. Bengals at Ravens. Did the Ravens video. I had them splitting, so the Ravens at home win the game, and even up the series there on the year. Browns at Bengals. Browns on paper look pretty good, but everybody's a little skeptical. You don't know what you're going to get from them. It depends on coaching, which quarterback. It doesn't really matter which quarterback's playing, in my opinion. Just you gotta stick it out with them. You can't keep switching it out. So I think the Browns on paper, they can be a good team, but in Cincinnati, I'll take Cincinnati. Against the Broncos, I would actually compare these two teams. I think pretty even. The Broncos got the edge on defense here, but it's not that Super Bowl defense anymore. It's just not. They could struggle a little bit in the secondary this year. I like the Bengals secondary. Maybe a little bit of a hot take, but the Bengals secondary could be better than the Broncos. Broncos do have Von Miller. At home, I'm going to take the Bengals here. That's just what I'm feeling. The Bengals are going against the Chargers here. I like the Chargers this year. At the same time, having a balanced team. They're pretty darn talented too. I like the Chargers at home. The Raiders in Cincinnati. Man, this is a good game. I think people are sleeping on the Raiders as well. Could we get the Raiders from a few seasons ago? Their offense was one of the best in the league. It's kind of a question mark. You don't know what you're going to get from Derek Carr. You don't know what you're going to get from Marshawn Lynch. You don't know what you're going to get from that receiver group. Khalil Mack hasn't been at training camp yet, but as long as he's on the Raiders, or as long as he's playing, he might be the best defensive player in football. The Bengals, I think I'm going to take the Bengals at home. I think that's what I'm going to do here. And then week 16 and 17, man, last 2 weeks sitting at 8-6. This is tough. In Cleveland, it really depends on what Cleveland's playing for at this point. We know what the Bengals are playing for. It really depends on what Cleveland's playing for. Is their season already done? It could be, looking at the last few years, but it really shouldn't be. I'm going to take the Browns at home. And like I said with the Bengals-Steelers, bad matchup, I think. Something could be on the line in this game, too. In this situation for the Bengals-Steelers, do they need a win? Do they need a rest? But we can't think like that right now. I'll take the Steelers. So maybe another... It's not what they did in the past that made me just do that, but it looks, I have that happening again. Another end of the season choke, I guess you would say. They could win this Browns game. They could win that Browns game. It's tough. 8-8. I think they'll be around that range. I think people are saying maybe they'll be at the bottom of the league. That's not bottom of the league. I think they could win 9 games. It's tough. They're a sleeper team for sure. I do like them. I like where they're heading. Just like the Browns, maybe coaching has to be better, obviously. And that's tough. That's a tough last 2 games there. It really depends on what Browns we're going to get. I had them beating in Week 12. I think it's more likely they split. They could go 2-0 against them. It's tough. The Browns, you expect, looking at that team, it's a pretty solid team, honestly. I think their secondary will struggle. The defensive backs, I think, could struggle a little bit. Other than that, though, their linebacker unit's been already good. I think their defensive line will be way better this year. Receiving group, it's way better. It's a fact. Get better at running back. They should be better at quarterback. Offensive line's always pretty solid for Cleveland. So you expect the Browns to step up here, and they should be able to split against some of these division teams and win some games they just have not been winning in the past. So tough for the Bengals there at the end, but it's definitely a team you can't sleep on. I think most people would predict them with 4 or 5 wins is my guess. I don't know that for sure, but that's just what I think. People are predicting them. I think people are sleeping on them. I think a lot of good young talent, so watch out for the Bengals in the future. But that's what I got. Let me know what you guys think on that. But that'll do it for this one. Our subscriber goal is 10K subscribers. So if you don't subscribe to the channel, please do so to help us out. We got a big fantasy video coming up. We're going to get the rest of these team predictions. We're going to have other Frogs Angels guys give their predictions so we get different perspectives on that. And then during the season, weekly pick'ems for NFL and college football. Can't wait for football season in general to start. Please click that like button too if you enjoyed. That'd be much appreciated. But that'll do it for the Bengals video. Stay tuned for more teams and more content here at Frogs Angels. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.